What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Rhino's Stuff. I'm Rhino, and we're going to look at some of my stuff. Now, the reason we're no longer Rhino Review Stuff here is because I'm tired of reviewing stuff and then getting a bunch of negative comments. So instead, it's just Rhino's Stuff. And we're just going to look at this stuff. We're going to see all of the different parts, and we're going to test it out. And I'll leave the review part up to you. Let's check out the TONGVEO PTZ camera. So inside this box is the VL-10N, the TONGVEO camera here. It does look like that. Looks like we got 60 frames per second at 1080p, which is exactly what I'm looking for. We've got a Sony sensor in here, so it's going to have some pretty good lenses. Optical zoom, I believe this one does 20 times optical zoom. We will confirm that when we actually use it. It's got HDMI out, Type-C for connecting to your computer. We've got PoE, so you can connect this up to the internet and connect to it from wherever you want to connect to it from. Yes, this is a video conferencing camera, and it's got all of those neat features that the last TONGVEO camera that I reviewed had as well. Let's open it up and check it out, one piece at a time. Got our user manual here. It is in English, and it's about 20 pages long. We've got a remote, USB-A to USB-C, power brick, mounting screws and covers, and a nice aluminum mount to put this on the wall. So this is the TONGVEO VL-10N. It is the PTZ camera, and you can see it has this nice silicone rubber tip here to cover up the lens. And yeah, that's a massive looking lens. It does say 10 times zoom. So this is a 10 times optical zoom model, not 20 times as I thought it might be earlier. So you've got full rotation here on the base. The camera goes up and down and side to side, all of those different ways. Down here on the bottom, we do have a mount for a tripod. It, of course, also mounts to the mount that was provided in the box. On the back of the unit here, we've got our power input. We've got RS-485. We've got RS-232. So you've got your video output for other devices. We've got USB-C here, HDMI output, and your RJ45 port to connect this to the internet. Let's get this thing connected up and test out the video quality. We're going to try it here under my studio lights, and we're going to try it under normal room lights, and I do have a fluorescent that I will put out as well. The video you're watching right now is unedited, undoctored, unadulterated video directly from the TONGVEO VL-10N PTZ camera. Right now I do have one regular light on in here, as you might have in a normal office setting, but I also have one fluorescent light facing from the right. So this is pretty much the video you would expect to get if you were in a conference room underneath fluorescent lights. Honestly, I think the unedited video here, without any modifications to it or anything, looks pretty darn spectacular. I am zoomed in quite a bit. Let's go ahead and use this remote here and zoom all the way back out, and you can see just how wide the angle is here on this lens. Wow! And looking at that, I could actually see the lens inside doing that little maneuver right there. That's pretty cool. I don't know, I guess I'm just not used to seeing all of the focusing and the zooming effects, but yeah, you can see here, this is pretty much my office. Got my name back there. Ha! I'm going to zoom back in real quick. There we go. And it does have fast zoom and it does have slow zoom, as you can see there. You can rotate side to side. You can see there's another computer there. There's my toy wall. Let's get a good zoom in on those shelves there. That shelf right there in the center of the frame, that is things that I have yet to do a video for. So yeah, that's kind of neat. You guys get to see a little bit of background right there. See how well we can zoom in on this shelf here. That is a pretty sharp looking picture. Wow. I'm extremely impressed with the quality of this. That's awesome. Got some spawn there. Can I zoom in some more? Now that is as much as I can zoom in. Go ahead and zoom all the way back out. And let's rotate around the other direction. And what we got right here is my favorite toy wall. You can see I got some nice figures up there at the top. My Playmate Star Trek. I got my Mego Star Trek. I got my Borgs and some turtles. Man, this is cool. I'm having a lot of... Ooh, that was almost straight up. Alright, so it almost goes completely backwards. That's pretty cool. Okay, get me back in the middle here. Go back down. Zoom back in. Up, down a little bit. That's pretty cool. I'm very impressed. Let's change up my lighting situation and see how that looks. And the view you're getting right now is with natural light. Ceiling lights off, studio lights are off. There are no fluorescents on at the moment. This is just with the blinds lifted up on the windows. You can kind of see it there in the door behind me. This is what it would look like if you were in a room with some pretty darn good natural light. And this is what things are going to look like if you just have ceiling lights. These are normal bulbs. This is pre-LED bulbs up here in my ceiling, so these are incandescent bulbs. And this is what it would look like with just the natural lighting in a normal room, in a normal house, without LEDs or studio lights or natural light. I think it looks pretty good to me. And if you've just got some studio lights here off to the side, as I do now, this is what the video would look like right out of the box. Overall, a pretty darn good experience, but I think we can do even better. I'm going to mess with some settings here in OBS. I'm going to change the placement of this camera to be more along the lines of where a camera would be if you were shooting some videos or if you were doing some live streaming. And yeah, let's see how good we can get it. And with just a little bit of tweaking here in my settings in OBS, this is the video I'm able to get from this VL-10N from TONGVEO. I think the image quality is pretty darn good. It's very saturated. I feel like it's really picking up the colors naturally. I do really like that. It's not the same experience I get from a DSLR. However, this is not near the camera sensor quality of a DSLR. I would not expect DSLR quality out of here. However, 60 frames per second does seem to be working pretty good. I am extremely impressed with the quality of all the different light settings that I've had on here. I am really impressed. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing so far. Now, one thing I was going to do as I was wrapping up the video is I was going to do a microphone test. Well, there is not a built-in microphone in this camera system, and really that's to be expected. This is meant to be put in boardrooms. This is meant to be used in a conference room. Much like the TONGVEO that I reviewed last year, this would be something that's mounted way up high on the ceiling and zooming in to record the entire board meeting or to present stuff like that. So this is not really something where you're going to be sitting in front of it and using that as your microphone. And honestly, having a built-in microphone in these cameras is kind of a joke because the audio is almost always terrible. So good on TONGVEO for thinking about that and just not putting one in there. But while I was messing with that stuff, I realized that there was a menu button here on the remote. Now you can see why I've got the screen set up the way it is. So I can look over here at my computer, I can see all of those different settings. You guys should be able to see them too, and you use the remote here to go through them. So we've got exposure settings, color settings, you can change the image settings, you can change the pan, tilt, and zoom settings. We got communication, that's for when you've got this connected up to the internet, which I do not have the ability to do so here, so I'm not going to test that out. We've got the information here, so yes, you can see this is the HD camera. Version 1.026, so let's see, last software update here was on, what is that, 4th of July 2023. There might be new ones since then. I'm not sure. I might check that out. So back button there works like a charm. So yeah, you can actually change a lot of your settings here in the system, in the camera, without having to mess with settings in OBS, and who knows, you might be able to get a better picture quality. Am I going to go and test that theory? No. So as I mentioned at the top of the video, this is not so much a review as it is a demonstration. I just kind of wanted to demo the video quality you can get out of this TONGVEO PTZ camera, and I think I accomplished that. For my purposes, I think it's pretty darn sharp. I really do like the 10 times zoom here. I had this thing sitting probably 10 feet away from me when I was doing the shots where I was just showing the lighting effects and stuff, and I was able to zoom in and get a pretty darn good, crop going on. So I'm super impressed with that. The fact that it doesn't have a microphone on it is not a big deal because this thing is meant to be set up across the room from people. This is not meant to be sitting directly in front of someone like my camera is here on my desk. It's a pretty good system. I have no real complaints about it. I'm not going to say whether you should buy it or not. That's going to be up to you. You've seen it being demonstrated. It does have all those different connectivity options. You can connect it through HDMI. You can connect it through the internet and use this by logging into it. It does have that built into it, It's got that menu system where you can adjust all of the settings on the fly within the camera itself without having to know anything about software. That's pretty cool too. So there you go. That was the TONGVEO PTZ camera here. Make up your own mind. I will leave the links down there in the description. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I will see you all later. Bye.